maybe it's due to sort of not in a disrespectful way, but sort of the quality being sort of lower. As in, like, you can't just attract like a big match winner that's going to come in.
Just to close off the podcast, Scott, I did want to ask you one vital question. That question is, why do Scotsmen make such great managers and coaches?
Oh, now there's a question.
Because I'm studying coaching and management, so I'm like to my wife, should I move to Scotland? Kind of get embedded and feel like a young Sir Alex Ferguson or a David Moyes or a Walter Smith or anything like this. But I just want to know the reason, like, why? Like, is it the accent? Is it the determination? Is it the upbringing? I really want to know this.
I'm not sure if it's the accent. I'm surprised you probably need subtitles for this podcast for your listeners to understand what I've been saying half the time. But
no, they can learn They can learn the Scottish accent. It's fine.
Yeah,
accent's cool.
I think it's the way that Scottish football is. It's like a bubble. It's just like a storm in a teacup, really, because to a lot of people it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on in Scotland, but there's so many things that happen in Scottish football. It is the league, genuinely, I'm not kidding on, the top league that Rangers and Celtic and Aberdeen ever play in is terrible. It's not a good league. The way it's structured is terrible. We do a crazy split at the end of the season, which it makes absolutely no sense to me at all. You've got the SFA are a joke, to be completely honest. So I think generally it's the ability you learn how to overcome things as a Scottish manager, and you're not really afraid to get things wrong. And down towards the lower leagues, football in summer in Scotland is bad most of the time, but football in the winter in Scotland can be quite a horrible place. It's never good. The amount of times I go to Ibrox during a season and I know I will be absolutely soaked by the time I leave and by the time I'm walking home, it is inevitable that it will happen. It's probably resilience and learning to overcome absolute nonsense. But I would be lying if I knew the answer. I would be telling lies to that, but you've got a shout. Scottish managers tend to do pretty well. Many are in the Premier League just now.
Yeah, so you've got David Moyes, you've had Sir Alex Ferguson, Aston Villa have had Alex McLeish as well, Salem. You've got Gary McAllister as the assistant manager, or one of the assistants at Aston Villa as well, currently at the moment.
I think Paul Lambert, he wasn't that bad. He was Scottish.
He was decent at Norwich as well. He was at Aston Villa as well, I think, Paul Lambert. Walter Smith, like you mentioned as well previously, at Everton, and he was an assistant coach at Man United as well once upon a time, Walter Smith was. So it's not too bad. And obviously you got the late Jock Stein from Celtic, your arch nemesis, is across the city, but we don't have to mention him any longer, which is perfectly fine. But yeah,
I was just gonna mention Scott. I've been I don't follow the SPL properly, but I think it's a bit strange because what is it? All the teams play each other twice, and then
we play 3 times. You play every team 3 times, and then you split off into a top 6 and a bottom 6, and then you play every team in the top. You play the other 5 teams in your top or the bottom bit another time, if that makes sense. So yeah, look, it's something the SFA come up with. It's a joke. It really is. It's just an absolute joke. And Scotland is one of the places you can end up. I think there was one season about 2 seasons ago, we played Kilmarnock 7 times in one season due to meeting them in the league, in the top 6 when there was a split, and in the 2 cups. So you play the same team 7 times. I mean, nobody wants to pay to see that. But it's the nature of the beast of Scotland, and I've said it a million times on our podcast. Scottish football is shocking. The way the league is structured is terrible, but it's my league and it's where my team are. So I'll just persevere with it because I'll never not be a Rangers fan.
I think another point on the coaching part was maybe it's due to sort of not in a disrespectful way, but sort of the quality being sort of lower. As in, like, you can't just attract like a big match winner that's going to come in. I think there's more emphasis on sort of coaching and sort of preparing a well-rounded a team to tactically. I think there's more emphasis on tactics than on sort of individual brilliance. Maybe that's just an aspect of it, that there's more they'd probably study harder coaching wise because they know that they're not going to have like £100 million to spend on these kind of players, and all the teams are probably more competitive in that sense. because I'll be honest, when we were in the Championship, I'd probably say the Championship was a more entertaining league than the Premier League was. I mean, the players were sort of, the quality was lower, obviously, but there were still some good players, and anyone could beat anyone, which was sort of the best part about the Championship. You know, you could be sort of 10-game losing streak and beat the team that's at the top, and that would happen on a weekly basis. It wasn't even like a shock result because they were happening so often. I mean, if you look at us when we got promoted, we were like, we'd just lost to Wigan 3-0 away from home. We were like 15th in the table or something, and then, you know, we drew one and then we won 10 in a row. So we were nowhere near that promotion picture, and we shouldn't have been. But the run that we put together, and the year before that, Fulham did the same, where they sort of went on a run towards the end of the season and got promoted as well. So yeah, so I just think maybe due to the sort of circumstances that the league is in, there's more emphasis on, you know, being a better coach and tactically preparation and things like that.
Yeah, what I will say is when Gerrard first came, he struggled to overcome the park the bus that most teams tend to do with Rangers when they come to Ibrox, especially. As you would expect, a draw to them at Ibrox is a great result. So they tend to just park the bus, and Gerrard struggled with that for a while. However, obviously he's going to be moving to the Premier League now, where most teams go out and attack. That's pretty much what teams do. So Gerrard will do well if that's the case. If it's going to be all out attack, then Gerrard can put together a rather attacking team that will do a high press, and he expects a lot from his players. He expects a right shift from them when they're on the park. So I'm interested to see how Gerrard does. I generally am. Right now, as I said earlier, I probably wouldn't wish him all the best, but I don't particularly want him to fail either. I'm kind of in that middle ground. Somebody described it as it's like your wife's just left you for another man, and that's kind of the way it felt, to be completely honest. But I mean, we'll wait and see. But it could work for Gerrard. It might not. I think you probably will win at the weekend. I would imagine you'll beat Brighton. I think it will get, once he gets the next transfer window under him and decides what kind of business he's going to do, if any, that'll be the right time to kind of judge him after that. I think towards the end of this season, to see how he's getting on.
From what I understand, he's sort of analysing his squad right now, and I think him and his team are him and the coaching staff are putting together sort of recommendations that there is going to be money to spend, from what I've heard, about 60 to 100 million approximately to spend. But this is the thing in the Premier League, like every team's got a 50 million pound striker. Like it's just such a normal thing where, and that's why I think it'd be refreshing to have somebody like Gerrard and his coaching team as well, that have got this sort of expertise that they've built up. Because when Gerrard did take the Rangers job at the time and Lampard took the Chelsea job, sort of similar times, and you know, everyone was like, oh, he's only going to Rangers, like, you know, that's not a good job kind of thing. And you know, Lampard's got the Chelsea job, you know, he's done way better. And so John Terry was our sort of assistant head coach. So at the time, everyone thought, oh, you know what, Lampard's, you know, clearly won from this, and Gerrard sort of picked out the short straw. But when you look at it now, the amount that he's developed in them years at Rangers, and if you look at what's happened to Lampard, not that he's sort of a poor manager, but maybe he should have gone down that route and, you know, improved on his coaching first. You know, it was first, well, he was at Derby first, to be fair, but still, you know, you look at Gerrard and how well he's done, and that's from Scottish football. So I think a lot of people do try to knock Scottish football, but there's clearly something there that the Premier League doesn't have.